Alright, welcome again to Trojanpear's Book Club. Last week we talked about the Godzilla book, Godzilla at World's End, and at that time I talked about the next book that I would be reading called Diary of a Wimpy Kid. Okay, this is by Jeff Kinney. This is one of the more well-known books as opposed to the Godzilla book that I read in the series I talked about last week. I figured, why not? Let's go ahead and read it since it's on a lot of lists of books that should be read. And I have access. I've bought it not too long ago, actually. So it was in my collection. This book, I believe, is supposed to be a children's or young adult type caliber book. It reads easy, very much like it, because it has, a lot of, it's kind of like a diary because you have the basic, little pencil pages with fairly big words, and it also has a lot of little cartoon pictures in it because he's apparently very good at artistic drawing the character. It's written like this kid, Greg Heffley's diary. So in essence, you're reading it in the span of during his school year, which begins in September and ends in May. So that's the timeline for this book. This book was also made into a series of several books. I'm not exactly sure how many books are out. I think it's like 6 or something. Somebody will probably correct me who's watching this. I don't have any of the other ones at this time, but I do hope to get into those maybe in the future to give you a more complete take on the rest of the series one day in the future. But for now, I want to talk about this one. Let's go through the back here. It first starts with an excerpt from his diary there, where it says, "I'll be famous one day, but for now I'm stuck in the middle school with a bunch of morons." And then the picture, of course, shows him stuck between two morons. "Being a kid can really stink, and no one knows this better than Greg Heffley, who finds himself thrust into middle school where undersized weaklings share the hallways with kids who are taller, meaner, and already shaving." In Diary of a Wimpy Kid, author and illustrator Jeff Kinney introduces us to an unlikely hero. As Greg says in his diary, "Just don't expect me to be all Dear Diary this and Dear Diary that." Luckily for us, what Greg Heffley says he won't do and what he actually does are two very different things. Of course, he doesn't do the Dear Diary thing, but this was a very interesting book. It only took me 2 days to get through it, and that's 2 days of not really even doing all that much. I probably could have easily read this book in one day. It's not hard to get through. It is 217 pages, but with every page plastered with the large writing and the cartoon drawings, it goes by very quick. It is listed by days of the week, not actual numerical days, but days of the week, and it's also broken up by months. So if you want to do it sort of chapter-wise, you could break it up with the months, and the months would be 9 months, I think, out of the year. And so you basically, I guess, could have 9 chapters that way. But it's not broke up that way. It's very easy to read. It is very interesting. It's easy to pull you into it to go ahead and get through it. It has a lot of interesting moments in it. It's supposed to be funny, which it is, to a degree. A lot of books that I read that are like funny books. I don't really laugh that much in. There are some books where I have gotten really emotionally invested with the laughing. Some of those are books that are related to some of these ones I'm going to be reading in the future. But this one itself, not so much. So, but it is funny, even though I didn't really laugh that much in it. I liked kind of the way things went. And the first day I read it, I said, this is pretty good. But the second day, as I was going through it, I noticed something about it that just kind of irked me a little bit about the book. And it's the fact that when you read this book, and I think this has a lot to do with the controversy that surrounds this book, is there's really no likable character that much in this book. I think eventually the one that you like most is his friend Rowley, who he paints as a very stupid type hick sort of character. I mean, he's just kind of goofy and dumb, but that's the way that he paints the character. But other than that, he seems like a nice guy in the book. Our main character himself, at first I kind of felt sorry for him because of all the stuff that was going on around him. He has a brother who has older brother who has no redeemable characteristics at all. He's always seen as mean, and there is no point where you can even kind of see that sort of flash of, it's a good side to him. At least with the parents you see that, even though he doesn't always paint those pictures like that. And, all those are kind of bothersome because, he had a bad Halloween, because all this stuff went wrong, and then you see he has a bad Christmas, New Year's, that sort of thing. So you kind of feel sorry for him a little bit. But then as you get into the book, and you kind of realize, he's not really that good of a person himself. He does a lot of things in this book that are, not good characteristics for your main character. And, a lot of times in books, they'll do stuff where they make mistakes, and eventually at the end of the book, you'll see something where you say, there you go, there's that redeemable characteristic. And he kind of has that a little bit at the end, but it's barely there. I mean, it's something very small that it kind of fixes everything, but he really doesn't do much different. He never sort of apologizes or anything like that. He always thinks what he did was right. And I don't know, I just never really felt comfortable there at the end with his character. So there are some issues I have with even the main character and the rest of these characters in this book, that it's just, I don't know, it's just not likable enough. It really disappointed me because I thought this would actually turn out better than what it did towards the end, because at the beginning it seemed like it was going to be pretty good. It was pretty well written in how he did it, but that was one thing that just really bothered me about the book. Overall, though, it still is a pretty good book. I would probably give it a little bit better than average, 3.5 out of 5. So, not too bad. The controversy in it is it really written for children, young adults, or maybe it's written for adults? I don't know. But it definitely is written in a way that kids and young adults and teenagers could definitely read it because it's very easy to read. So, I personally would not keep this. So this is a book that I would give away and be done with it there. So the only reason I might would keep it is because it is a well-known title, but other than that, I don't really care that much for it. So there you go. Next week, well, actually this week, I'm going to begin reading my next book in the series. In the next week or two, thereabouts, I will do review on the newest Harry Potter book and talk a little bit about the entire series as well. Give you my thoughts on my personal favorites in the series and whatnot. So it might be a little bit longer review again next time, but we'll try to get through it in under 20 minutes like I normally do. So until then, this is the Trojanpear. Wishing all you readosaurus out there blessings. Bye-bye.